Helio conference, and that was cool. We presented the work with the Science Platforms Coordination Idea Working Group, and I had a poster and a talk. A lot of people liked it, so that was good. I don't know if there's too much to say as far as like an announcement from that.
Fair
Uh,
enough. Fair enough.
and I guess the only other thing is just sad news that our PyHC chat proposal was not selected by the Navigation Fund to continue. So we're not going to end up getting that like 300-ish grand. Sad.
Yeah, it's a hard funding time for a lot of people right now.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad that the conference in Madrid went well. Overall announcements from me. We'll have our biannual meeting. It's going to be virtual because there's too many other meetings this fall, but it'll be the week of November 17th. So some more information to come on that later. Early stages of planning it. Rebecca, did you want to go through that document of how we're going to run today?
Yes. Apologies for running late. I could not escape quite fast enough. All right, so let me throw links in the chat. Is that good? All right, let's roll with it. All right, I'm going to throw a link in the chat. Isaiah, could you put the link to the HSSI website in the chat too? So the first link is to some instructions I'm about to go through, and the second link will be to where we actually do the work. So why are we bothering with this with PyHC? Well, we are building a search interface for all software in heliophysics, whether in Python or not. That search interface is now ready to make a huge jump in what it indexes, which means a huge jump in the number of software packages you can find with it. And this is a NASA-funded attempt to make software more easily discoverable, to encourage reuse, and to avoid rebuilding the wheel for the 100th time, so to speak, in some cases. All right, so thanks, Isaiah. So the stage that we find ourselves in right now is we want to prioritize getting the PyHC packages into this indexer, into this search interface, so that your packages can be found in this too. Okay, so how is this better than PyHC? The underneath the hood, the metadata structure is expected to give a lot more benefit to you in the future. So we've built it in a smart way to be aligned with different international standards. And we're also, by including packages that are not in Python, this places your packages in PyHC in the same search interface as modeling packages in Fortran, or these visualization packages that are not wrapped by Python yet, for example. So there's a lot of pieces of software that are quite interesting to the heliophysics research and mission community that they're looking for. And we want your packages right alongside those. Any questions so far? All right, let's roll with it. So by showing up today, we are hoping that you will be you will aid us in entering these packages in. Um, the I Let me share my screen and show you why we need to do this when you've already put metadata in to PyHC. Let me show you what's missing. So the way, okay, I believe I'm sharing my screen. Is that correct?
Yep.
You
We
see the HSSI website?
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so first, HSSI stands for the Heliophysics Software Search Interface. This search mechanism does not work yet. We have been focusing on stuff behind the scenes, so lower those expectations for just a little bit longer there. But what we have been working on is building the pieces so that we know what metadata we really need from you to make this work well. So we've built two structures, three really. One that you can see, and two that you can see, and one that you can't see quite yet, because that's going to happen later in the process. Okay. So here you see this functionality tab and these 6 categories. This is something that we cannot extract from PyHC. This is one of the things that we're going to be asking you to put in when you fill out the submission form. But notice that these 6 categories are how this works similar to EMAC. Um, but the idea is that once you click this particular thing, say I want a software package that performs coordinate transforms to an ionospheric type of coordinate system. I also want it to be able to do just data processing and analysis. I'm not sure which of these pieces I need yet, so I'm going to collapse that. And I'd also like some data visualization. And the idea is that once you have the pieces you selected that you're interested in, you would click this search button. Right now, nothing matches the search yet, but the software packages that would match those categories would come up. And, then someone could continue with selecting the software that they want. All right. The third connection that you don't see yet is connected to the heliophysics, the heliodata website. You pull that up real quick. So this is on the data side of searching. This is a website built, it's in beta stage right now, but this is the website where people are planning, or we're planning for people to search for data, right? Limited to heliophysics, all of the different subfields of heliophysics, starting with that database has been started with a huge chunk of NASA funded things and is likely going to extend to be to include data funded by other agencies internationally like JAXA and ESA and those kinds of things. We'll see what happens from there. But the connection between the software search interface and this Helio data search interface is right here. These 5 categories, these related regions, and we can only make that connection between software and data between these 2 websites. We can best make that connection through selecting which one or more of these 5 regions a particular software package is most relevant to. So this will be one of the things we ask you to select when you're filling in metadata. All right, so those beyond the basic kind of metadata we expect to be able to extract, these will be the 3 things that we could not extract from the PyHC metadata and need hands-on help with for all the packages. Okay, one other thing is for software citation. So let me just run through that real quick. So for example, SunPy, um, just pulling that example out of my head. So notice in the citation instructions, if I can find it quickly enough, notice in the citation instructions, they want you to not only cite this specific DOI for the version used in your work, but also this reference publication. So I'm working on this side with the Research Software Alliance and CodeMeta and DataCite and all these different international organizations to make this a more automatic process in the future, but we need the connections to start happening in the metadata now. So whenever you're filling in metadata for a given software package, I'm going to ask you to take a look and see if you can see if there's some sort of reference publication, usually a journal article, in this case in the Astrophysics Journal, and other cases you'll see a Journal of Open Source Science article, so on and so forth. But those would be the reference publications. You drop that DOI into the box. Okay. Any questions so far about what I've said? Okay. All right. Attempting not to fire hose people. All right. So let's get started. So Catherine, our digital librarian, has created this spreadsheet. And how do you get there? So if you open that link in the chat, that first link, it brings you to this document, which I will walk you through just by example. And right at the top of the document is this link to a spreadsheet. Okay. We are not going to put everything in the spreadsheet into the form today. Okay.
Just to interrupt, this spreadsheet, is it okay that we're not supposed to have access to it?
You are supposed to have editing access to it.
Okay,
Clicking buttons now.
okay.
I apparently forgot to set that up. Apologies.
Thank you.
All right,
No
refresh
worries.
your page. Thank you for jumping in and fixing that for me. All right. Now I'm going to demo this. So pull open that spreadsheet. Don't change anything yet. In fact, please don't change anything in columns A through D. If you accidentally do that, Control Z is your friend. Undo that change, right? But you have access because you'll be editing column E for whatever software package that you do work on. Okay, so what is this actually going to look like? All right, you'll need to have a few tabs open, namely this software, this spreadsheet and the HSSI. So let's do an example submission and then I'll stop. So here we go. We're going to click on submit a resource. And I'm going to go back to this spreadsheet and scroll through. Okay, noting who's available, I will not choose PySpeed so that you can do that yourself, Jim. Let me choose something else, maybe this Apex Pi. Or would you like to do that, Angeline? I'll leave that to you. I noticed that's yours. CCSDS Pi, let's go for that one. Okay, I'm going to work on row 16. So I'm going to copy this DOI that Catherine has prepared for us and paste it right here and click out of it. And notice that it is going to auto-populate everything that it can from that DOI and piggyback off of that to populate everything it can from the code repository when it can find it. So notice this DOI did not have the code repository associated with it in this case. So we're going to have to copy that over too, but that's fine. It's just in the next box. So we're going to copy that in. Now, if you see something with this question mark thing, so just remove that. Make it the clean GitHub link. Okay, and it's going to auto-populate from the GitHub API and using some additional software to extract more things from the files themselves. Okay, we'll give that a moment. And let's go ahead and open that GitHub website separately, because we're going to need to pull some more things up there. All right, but we need submitter information. So your name, your work email, guys. No funky business there. All right, so it has extracted authors, orchids, affiliations, all these kinds of things. If the author name is a bit long, you can click this hide button to hide all that. And we don't want to change author information or any of that. We're going to assume the information that was present in their DOI and in their GitHub API metadata is accurate. All right, so there's a nice bit of information auto-filled. All we need to work on is the software functionality field right here, the related region field, and then towards the bottom, I believe there is the reference publication field. I'll track that down in a moment. All right, well, let's focus here at the top, software functionality. So if you go back to the curation instructions, you can, on the second page, I put a cheat sheet there so that you could have the basic options available to be thinking about. Okay, how do we choose these things? Especially when you didn't write the package or you're not familiar with it. All right, so first it's going to be, these are the main categories. We're going to at least try to choose at least one of these main categories to associate with the software based on the GitHub page and the descriptions, maybe poking at the documentation real quick, but nothing too detailed here. All right, so those functionality categories are coordinate transformations, data visualization, models and simulations, data processing and analysis, anything that's related to a specific mission rather than a broad number, and then servers and environments. Okay, so having that in mind, let's see if we can pick at least one of those categories for this particular CCSDS Pi. All right, so here's the about. Binary spacecraft data, I noticed that. So there's this based on this, that's going to be multiple missions, so it's not mission specific. We're not going to choose that. Let's see. Got some automated testing. This has to do with packets. Okay, so this is probably something to do with data processing and analysis. That's my closest choice there. All right, so I'm going to go over here and choose data processing. So you just start typing and choose the broad category. If you know of something more specific, because maybe that's that's your area of work, you can scroll down here and see if there's something more. Oh, packets. That might be packet decommutation. Let's go look here. Probably. Okay, we'll go there. All right, we have one or two things selected. If more are obvious to you, then select those before you move on. All right, so related region.
There's
Let's
a
try
quick
that one.
question in the chat.
Oh, I cannot see the chat because
No
somehow
worries.
it is showing my screen on both things. How are the categories determined and how will they change or shift? Okay, so the categories were determined by getting feedback from PyHC in November of last year. So we came there with a draft of categories that were like, this might be it, spitballs on the wall kind of thing, right? And then we got feedback through um, attendees of that meeting. This was the fall PyHC meeting that was held hybrid last year. And we got a lot of feedback from the group. Okay, this is important. This is a thing. This is a thing that's not a thing, right? So we pulled all that information together, got a little more feedback from mission groups, particularly, and from the modeling side too, to make this structure. If you want to geek out a little bit, or maybe this scares you, but this is what the structure actually looks like. I will throw this link in the chat if someone really wants to go for it. But there's a 6 main categories. Each category has subcategories. Some subcategories are actually connected to more than one category because it's relevant, so on and so forth. But let me not dwell there. But that's how they were created. We don't expect them to shift much because shifting that means that a lot of things in the back end would have to change, not that it's not changeable. So feedback on that should go to the GitHub. Um, so Isaiah or Catherine, can you put the link to the GitHub where this information is held? So and that process is, put that in the chat, please. And the process there is if you think something is missing, perfect, thank you. If you think something is missing or you think something should be shifted, raise an issue on that GitHub and try to get other people to join in on that conversation. Whatever changes we make, we want to make sure that we're incorporating a good chunk of the community to support that change. Okay, does that answer your question? Perfect. Okay, happy to be of help. All right, so we are working on related region. So those categories were made in support outside of this group in support of the HelioData website. And that was a huge effort led by Ryan McGranigan. And they're still working on that. We are only incorporating the top level categories here um, just for simplicity's sake. Okay. So we need to pick at least one of the related regions. So those regions are solar environment, Earth magnetosphere, Earth atmosphere, interplanetary space, and planetary magnetospheres. Okay, so for CCSDS Pi, this is for packets from NASA and ESA missions. You can see some of the missions that it's being used for. So MMS, just judging from the picture, if you're not familiar with that particular mission, it is magnetospheric things. Okay, we also see PUNCH, which is solar environment. We also see GOES, that's some of those satellites have to do with the atmosphere. I'm not sure if they're using that particular piece, but we can at least choose solar environment and Earth magnetosphere, if not more. So let's at least choose those. So solar environment, click the add button for a second one, Earth magnetosphere. Okay, so a quick look to see if anything else seems particularly obvious on related related regions. I'm not familiar with all of these missions, so I am probably missing one, but that's going to be okay. The next thing on our curation instructions is to scroll down. We did the software functionality, so now we have the basic search categories for HSSI. We have the related region now, so that's a connection to the missions on the data set side. Let's scroll down. Now we're looking for reference publication. Where did that go, Isaiah? Is it hiding?
Yeah, sorry, it's actually near the top now. I moved it up to license per
I missed
hour.
it.
Yeah, it's
We moved things around, so this would be easier.
a little bit lower. Publisher version.
There it is. I scrolled right past it at least 4 times. Sorry, guys. All right, so reference publication. So how do we find this? Usually you find it by looking for citation instructions on their GitHub. But you should note there isn't always a reference publication. So if you can't find one reasonably obviously, it's probably not there. Because when software packages do have a reference publication, they usually really want you to cite it. So they usually make that pretty obvious. All right, so we're going to do a quick scroll through to see if there's any citation instructions. Here we go. Mentioning publications, use the DOI provided by Synodo. So based on these instructions, there probably isn't a reference publication, so we can reasonably confidently skip this field. Okay, let's go here. I feel like there is one more thing that I have perhaps forgotten. Oh, if there is a specific mission that a software is written for, that does need to be indicated. But in this case, we notice that this is for many NASA and ESA missions. So it's fine to leave it as is. All right, so we are done. If you're feeling particularly nice in the moment, you could add other things that you're aware of, perhaps the development status. You can see when the last release was. I think CCSDS Pi is particularly active. Okay, so I'm going to click active because I'm feeling nice in the moment. All right, these other things are a lower priority. If you would like to fill that out, that's fine. But as is, this is ready to submit. And here you get the confirmation. So one thing that you'll also see is that you'll see an email sent to you with a link to edit that in the future. And that isn't going to be your sole responsibility. If one of the authors of the software package comes to HSSI and says, I need to make changes to the metadata associated with my package, someone got the such and such wrong, or this is changed now, whatever they want to do, then they will also get that edit link. So no worries. All right, so I have walked through the entire process. Hopefully I made it seem easy to you. The one thing that you should do when you're done, click this button in the submitted column. Yes, it's been submitted. So no one else tries to submit the same thing, and which makes it a little more complicated on the back end. All right, any questions?
Maybe we should, like, if somebody's going to pick a package and work on it, maybe they should say what they're working on in the chat so two people don't pick the same package.
Go for it. Throw your roll number in there because the names can be a little hard to find in such a huge thing. Yes, great idea. So what I'm going to note here is the order of things in the spreadsheet. It does have a little bit of structure to it. So the core packages are listed first from PyHC, and then the validated packages are listed. And then once you get down here around the 60s and 80s, the unevaluated packages are listed. After that, there's a section of things that we loosely found just by searching GitHub and being a little familiar with a few of the modeling or modeling related packages. And this stuff has not been, we've not had a chance to really prepare that. So if you want to dive off into the unknown, that would be where to go. But be, you'd have to find the DOI yourself. But as you notice, we've done a lot of work on the submission form to make it easy, so you don't have, so people don't feel like they have to repeat a lot of metadata entry that they've done elsewhere. So you saw how easy that was. Great. Any other questions?
I was just wondering, from the last time we had a telecon where we did kind of a bit of a hackathon to get some more packages in there, is that information still in the database, Isaiah, or did we clean that up?
Yeah, it's there. You can see it on the front page, right? When you go to the HSI website, those packages are all the ones that are from the
Yeah, should we
last.
go ahead and check those so that people don't resubmit for them?
I can, yeah, we
Good
can do that.
point.
Go ahead. All right, so from here, if no one has any more questions, the rest of this time is, I can just
I
stop
have
sharing.
a question. I have a
Go
question.
ahead.
So I apologize. This is the first one of these meetings I've been able to attend in a long, long time. So we've probably covered this. I'm kind of curious about how you're going to integrate the planetary data sets since they're all bracketed under planetary. And there's going to be times when people, for example, who study Jupiter don't want to know about Mars and vice versa. And the other thing that comes to mind is a lot of the magnetospheric type observations. There's some that have continual access to uh, interplanetary space. So all those I think would be tagged as both interplanetary and planetary. So I'm just wondering about have you been able to engage folks in, I guess, planet specific kind of packages?
So planetary, this, we're expecting, now here I'm flapping my wings a little bit.
It's no
We're
problem. It's no problem. Thank you for answering my questions. Take the time.
No, I love this question because this is one of the things I'm paid to be worried about. The connections, we can't, so getting a little maybe theoretical for a moment, we can't really support cross-divisional science if we can't find the resources to do it. So our scope right now is to make sure we have connections to this Heliodata website so that when people tend to look for first publications, which is obviously out of scope for us other than these reference publication links, right? But beyond that, they're like, okay, what data sets might answer my question? Okay. Once they find those data sets, then the question is, okay, what software do I need to dig into these data, or do I really have to write my own, right? Because that makes the process a lot longer for research. So that connection between the data and the software is what we're trying to make sure happens, at least on a basic level. What you'll notice on this, and that's why we're really having as a high priority these related regions. So the idea in the future is that, say, this planetary magnetospheres, if that particular related region is indicated for a given software, there will be some way in this page, maybe a separate tab down here, that would list related software, potentially from an API call to this HSSI website and the database underneath it, to list software that's relevant for this planetary magnetospheres category. Notice on this website, there are subcategories here. And one thing I'd like to do in the future is to, like once this structure is settled on the dataset side, maybe it already is and I don't know yet, but once this structure is settled, add those things as subcategories also on the HSSI side. Now that will take a slight additional push and refinement on our side for that, those assigning those subcategories for particular packages, kind of setting that off for later. But if this is something you want to tag for now, in fact, let me just throw this link in the chat in case someone wants to dig around over there. If this kind of thing is something you want to do for now, you could incorporate it in the keyword field. Let's see, that's in this top section somewhere. I'm probably scrolling right past it, or
I
maybe
think
it's
it's
down
in
here
the additional data expansion. Yeah.
right at the top of that section. Yeah. You could put things in there and you could, and this works the same as all the other things. If you want, you could copy it, say, of course, I can't select and copy Jupiter magnetosphere. Okay, so I could type that
I
and
wonder
then
if you
click.
could have like a acronym keywords.
Coming soon to the search interface near you right here. That's actually something we're going to be working on for missions in the next few months. And there's already some infrastructure built that we can build on for that from the astronomy community. So not incorporated yet, but that's definitely one of the next things on
Exciting.
our list. Yeah. Um,
Is like we often rattle off these acronyms like, NOAA goes and NASA Maven or IUVS Maven, etc.
well, for missions, that's coming. For agencies, can throw it as a keyword. Um,
And it's probably best to avoid at this time.
Well, when someone's looking for data, they usually don't particularly care what agency funded it. They care more about what topic is associated with it and what science question they could answer. So it doesn't, yes, the funding should be indicated, but we feel like having that connection, that having a user be able to determine the relevance of this software to their science question and what data they're using, that seems like definitely a higher priority for researchers. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. I'm mostly going after if we're describing around a data set we're looking for, sometimes all somebody might know is, oh, what's that NOAA satellite that's up there that I don't remember the name? And then you have the extra fun of the name changes that happen, like SWIFT
Yeah.
OL1 is going to become something different once
Hmm.
it gets there.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought like agency name could be helpful for searching, but yeah.
That's on the data side. Just for sake of not misrepresenting them in my clumsy representation of this amazing effort, I'm going to leave that to them. But yeah. Okay. Cool. Any
Yeah,
other
thank
questions
you.
before we get rolling? Sure.
Thank you.
Sure
And
thing.
yeah, you answered my questions. Sorry for being annoying.
Oh, you're not annoying. It's fine.
I just wanted to mention that when you fill them out, when you do the submission, you might expect to see them pop up on the front page, but they won't actually be there yet because an admin has to sort of approve the submission before it shows up. So don't worry if you don't see it. It's all
Thank you,
good.
Isaiah, for mentioning that. I completely forgot. Yeah, we're trying to have a a little quick review process so junk doesn't get thrown on the website by bots and stuff like that. So with the submissions that we hope to get from today, we're going to be looking at it and go, okay, is that a software? Does that make sense? Okay, good, go for it. Or is that someone's nonsense? Okay, let's remove that. To some really basic review. So at this point, I want to hand it over to each of you. Go ahead, go to the spreadsheets, pick what row you want to work on, throw that row number into the chat so someone doesn't pick the same thing, and go for it. I will hang out here and try to be quiet unless I'm answering questions.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca.
Sure. And I'm going to be doing the same thing, so you'll see me doing that.
And Jim, glad you claimed PySpeed. I was looking through here at some of the packages I'm slightly more familiar with, and I'll throw a package name here in the chat in a minute.
Put the row number.
With the row number. Cool.
I'm going to stop the recording now that we've gotten all this spiel out so that if we use this again later,